Alright guys, for today's video we're going to be going over the worst pieces of equipment in Farming Simulator 25. So I have a couple criteria for this list. First of all, what is the value of it? Is there something that just outclasses it for the same price? Things like that. Also, is it annoying to use? Is it a hassle? Is it just miserable to use? Is it something that I avoid like the plague just because it's no fun and a pain to use? Also, there's some subjectivity in this. It is a personal list. One other thing to note with this list is that it's not in any particular order, but let me know in the comment section, what is your guys' least favorite piece of equipment to use? What will you avoid at all costs, more or less, is the point of this list. Anyways, guys, let's get in the video. Don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Alright, guys, first of all, we have this carrot harvester. Now, as you can see, this carrot harvester right here, and specifically if I go into... I'll show you which one exactly I'm talking about. Vegetable harvesters, any of these first three. Can't stand them, terrible, don't buy them, ever. Save up for the expensive one if you're going to do root crops, or even better, don't do root crops, they're annoying. But this one in particular here is what we have shown. This is the vegetable harvester, good for carrots, you know, things like that, red beets. Now, the reason why it's on this list is because, as you'll notice, I am doing precisely nothing. The AI is running this harvest, and he's doing nothing. He's doing a single row. This little piece right here, that is all you get to harvest with. You got this big old machine, and it does literally 0.8 meters at a time. It's insane, right? It's absolutely insanity. And now, even that isn't the worst part. If you go on to the auto, it wants to do 14 headlands. It's insanity. It takes 14 times going around the field before it even starts going up and down. Just for scale of how slow this thing is. And it also fills up pretty quick too, right? I'm filling up. I'm going to have a full trailer here in no time at all. I'm only going around the field, you know, one time and this thing's going to be full. But one time around the field is basically nothing. So this thing is miserable. Never buy it. Never do vegetables. And if you do, do yourself a favor for your sanity and wait till you can afford the expensive harvester. This thing's a little better, not by much, but at least you're not doing 0.8 meters at a time. This is at least a 3 meter working with, right? So, yeah, first of all, these vegetable harvesters, absolutely miserable. Next up on the list, and this might be a surprise to you guys, maybe not, but when I explain it, trust me, it'll make sense. We have the John Deere cotton harvester. Now, this thing can make you a ton of money. It's got decent working with, highly maneuverable, all that stuff. And in itself, it's not a bad harvester. Now, the reason why it does make the list is simple. There's just a better option, right? You have two harvesters in the game, the John Deere one and the Case one. They're basically identical, but this one's literally half the price. Why would you spend $850,000 for this piece of junk when you can buy the Case that has double the capacity, the same working width, the same speed, all that stuff for literally half the price? And now, technically, there is a little more horse in the John Deere, but I mean, most of these maps are pretty flat. That's not really going to be a factor. And even if it was, you could buy two for the price of one. So yes, you might slow down a little bit going up a hill. Well, you don't slow down nearly as much as if you had two running instead of one, right? There's just no reason to ever buy this thing unless maybe you like the color green, right? Just buy the Case. Not only that, but the Case is also able to unload the bales early. You can't do that in the John Deere. So really, there's just nothing going for this John Deere, and it's double the price. There's just no reason to ever buy it. It's horrible. Stay away from it. Might be the worst value in the game. Probably is the worst value in the game, simply because the alternative is literally half the price, and that is not a small number. $400,000 cheaper for a better piece of equipment. Yeah, stay away from the John Deere. Next on the list is a little bit more of a personal preference, and it's the Ridge Track tractor. There's a couple reasons why I don't like it. One, statistically, it's pretty trash. 75 horsepower is just, you know, abysmal. Only goes 24 miles an hour. It gets outclassed by literally every other tractor in the game. Even this little tiny one that's significantly cheaper, the base model of this is 5 horsepower less. So really, there's no reason to buy it. And not to mention, it's $127,000. It's crazy. You could buy 3 of these John Deeres for the same price, right? I just don't get the hype of this tractor. It does turn on a dime. It does have that going for it. So maybe if you're packing pits and you want to do donuts, it's good for that. But really, that's about it. It's not even cool looking. It's goofy looking. I think it's ugly. It does have a 3-point in the front, but yeah, just crazy that this thing costs $130,000 for as bad it is. The one thing I do have to say, it does get up to speed pretty quick. It does have that going for it, but yeah. If you're spending $130, just buy a better tractor. For 75 horsepower, you should be getting, you know, it should be 20 grand. And if you're paying 130, you should be getting at least 300 horsepower, you know, because you could buy multiple 240 horsepower, 230 horsepower, so you could buy one of these for cheaper. So, like I said, just not a good value at all. Horrible tractor. Next up on the list, we have all of the in-game plows, the non-modded ones. These things are horrible to use. I have this modded Lizard, so much nicer. But anyways, so this big one here, it's decently expensive. That's not the issue. The issue is look at this gargantuan thing. And you're like, oh, this thing should be able to do quite a bit at one time. And then you unfold it and you realize it's only a 6-meter working width. And you're like, what the heck? This thing's like 15 meters long. And I would say you're correct. It's insane. There's no reason why this thing needs to be as big as it is and cover as little ground as it does. You could barely get wider than your tractor with this thing. This has the same working width as that cotton harvester that I was showing you earlier. It's terrible. And not only that, since it's at a funky angle, it is kind of a nightmare to back up. But yeah, you would think like they increase the angle on this just slightly, it wouldn't be nearly as tiresome to use, and it would just work a lot better. But you're stuck driving this thing around, and it feels like it takes forever. Yes, it does do its job. Yes, it is the biggest in the game, but you rotate this thing, 20 degrees a little bit, you're going to be getting a lot more for your value, and it just could be better. Also, it's a trailer, just, not a good plow. I don't like it. Give me mods now. Alright guys, so next up on the list, we have any trailer that has wheels in the front. So what am I talking about like that? If you'll notice on this trailer here, you've got two in the back, and you've got the one in the front that's connected to the axles. Now, in theory, this doesn't sound too bad, right? You can turn on a dime pretty well. The issue is that these things are impossible to back up. If I go to back up, what happens is as soon as you turn slightly, it jackknifes, right? There's no way to back this thing up properly. It's not possible. If you can do it, you're probably a pro trucker in real life. It's like doing a set of doubles, except for at least with the set of doubles, you get a little bit of axle length to properly do it. But like, I'm decent at backing up, and you have to do everything in your power to keep this thing straight, and you go a little bit off, boom, jackknife. Horrible. Not only that, but there's a bunch of them, right? You go into trailers, and half these are unusable. This one, this one, this one, this one. A whole bunch of these have that front axle. It's just horrible. I know that there's a mod on PC that locks it in place, which would be super nice to have, but on console, that's not a thing as of now. So I stay away from these as much as I can. Yes, technically it is a little easier to tow, and I could see some niche cases where if all you're doing is going from your grain silo to the shelling point, okay, maybe I'd buy one of these. However, if you're at that point, why would you not just buy a bigger like semi-trailer? And they aren't even that big either, right? They're not even the biggest in the game. These ones hold more, this Krone. So if you're at the point where you can afford to have something that just goes from the silo and back, you're probably just buying the Krone anyways. So there's really no reason to get this, only because those wheels are in the front, right? If it didn't have the wheels in the front, I'd love this trailer. I'd get it every time. But those wheels on the front are just absolutely miserable to use. Now, next up on the list, we have this Klaus harvester. This is kind of in vein with the tractor, where there's just better options for the price. So if I go into the harvesters here, I'll show you exactly which one I'm talking about. This one right here, the Evian 450. Now, the reason why I have it on this list, it does look better, but it's nearly identical to the Massey Ferguson, right? It has the same capacity, same miles. It goes a little faster. 8 more horsepower. It's marginal, but it's literally double the price. And like I said earlier, like with the cotton harvester, yes, this might be slightly better, but you could just get 2 of the other one for the same price. Why wouldn't you just do that? And it's not even like you can get a big header on it. Like technically there's bigger ones, but you're still only rocking a 6.2. You can use other headers for it, but you can use other headers on this Massey Ferguson. They'll run just as well. So you might as well get the one that's half the price. At least this one has a bigger storage, not by much, but these at least have a little bit bigger storage. So there's some use case for that. But yeah, I don't get the point in these little ones. If you're going to get the little ones, just get 2 of the cheapest one. You're going to be better off. You're going to cover more ground a lot faster. Now, the next piece of equipment we have on the list is this Kuhn. I believe it's a Ceder. There's this one here. This thing is trash. It is horrible, and it is outclassed by an equivalent priced thing in every way. So the reason why this thing sucks so bad is a couple reasons. One, it's decently expensive, but the biggest thing is it's not even complete because it doesn't hold seeds. You have to also buy a seed tank for it, which is another, $18,000, which wouldn't be too bad. But if you had $18,000, you could just get the better Ceder. So I don't know why you would ever want this thing, and it takes away your option to put something on the front of your tractor like fertilizer spreader or something like that, right? It's just silly to have this thing. The working with it doesn't do anything particularly well. So let's just compare it to, let's say something that's half the price. All right, so you're getting 2 meters, and it goes significantly slower. You go from 11 miles an hour to 7, and it can't cultivate as it goes. So this thing's 30 grand cheaper, and it's basically gonna work the same speed, and you get to skip cultivating. So the purpose of this is unknown. On top of that, it doesn't even hold fertilizer. This thing at least holds fertilizer too. You can put fertilizer on this bad boy, and then you can kill 3 birds with 1 stone. You could put something else on the front and then do 3 things at one time, right? But yeah, it's just pointless. And if you size up for something the same price, you can get the same working with, but this thing does not require cultivation, and it does fertilizer, and it goes a little faster. This only goes 7 miles an hour, like I said. This thing goes 10. Same price, it goes faster. So I don't know why you wouldn't just get this thing. It's just better, right? And if you spend a little more money, you can get an even better one. So it's just, yeah, this Kuhn is just really bad in every way. Don't know why you'd ever buy it. Kind of tricks you, makes you think it's good. Oh, it's a nice little mid-range, just above the cheap ones and just below the expensive ones. But no, it really has no use case. And it doesn't even tell you that you need an extra attachment for it. It's not with it. So what's going to happen is you're going to see, oh, that's nice. I'll buy it. You buy it and you realize, oh, this thing doesn't have any way to hold seeds. Then you got to spend more money that you didn't know you needed to and buy the seed tank, which I will admit I have done that. So, yeah, this Kuhn Ceder, terrible. And now on the list, we have the roller. So the reason why the roller's on the list is because, admittedly, I've never used the thing. It's just simply not worth the time for like a 3% yield bonus. Yeah, it's got a good working with and all that, but it's just... For 3% yield bonus, you're spending 115K, and more importantly, you got to spend an extra step to harvest. It's just, it doesn't pencil, right? I guess if you're doing a seasons map and you're doing like specific, oh, I can only speed up 1 time a day. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. The average player, though, don't even mess with this thing. This thing's a waste of time. Waste of time and money. You're never going to use this thing. It's just both rollers. No reason for it. So, yeah, rollers. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. That's all I have for you. Don't forget, guys, leave a comment. What is your least favorite piece of equipment in the game? If I had to pick one, I think it is definitely this carrot harvester. I will avoid doing vegetables just because this thing is so miserable to use. But yeah, don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And yeah, thanks for watching. Peace out.